Doomslayer, also known as Doom Marine, was once a normal human, a warrior who served in the Earth Marine Corps. However, his life soon took a turn for the worse. After refusing orders to open fire on a crowd of unarmed civilians, he attacked his superiors. This led to his being stripped of his rank and expelled from the military. After that incident, he was sent to the UAC Phobos facility as a security officer, which no one could have expected was the starting point for a series of brutal and supernatural events beyond human imagination. On Phobos, this entity was forced to face a threat from hell. The gates opened and demons poured in. The hideous creatures from hell not only destroyed everything, but also spread chaos throughout the universe. He fought relentlessly, overcoming wave after wave of demons and returned to Earth, only to see his home planet burn to the ground, humanity nearly extinct, his wife, children, and even his pet rabbit Daisy all killed. His heart burned with an unquenchable flame of hatred. From that moment on, there was no room for mercy, no forgiveness, only eternal anger and a mission to kill all demons. Doom's universe is not simply a single dimension. It is a place where countless overlapping realities exist, spanning from the first to the seventh dimension. The Doomslayer comes from Earth, a world in the seventh dimension, while heaven reigns in the sixth dimension. Countless races of gods, demons, and ancient creatures rule each layer of space, each world with its own rules and principles of domination. In that universe, billions of years ago, a supernatural entity was born, called the First Primeval, a primordial evil created by God himself. Primeval was not only powerful, he possessed almost absolute power, and was born to protect the dimensions from collapse. Each dimension was only allowed to have one primeval, because if two such entities confronted each other, the entire universe would be destroyed. The first primeval, the so-called primordial evil, betrayed the Creator's will, devouring other dimensions, absorbing countless other primevals to increase his power to the point of being almost equal to God. When he was sealed, the Seraphim begged the Supreme Being to destroy him, but he refused, because he was the first child, the first creation he had ever created, a cursed yet beloved being. However, God also warned that if that person were to rise again, there would appear another primeval, or an entity far beyond him, who would be capable of destroying that monster forever. Doomslayer is that prophecy. The Doom universe continues to expand with dark secrets hidden. The ancient Sentinel warriors with supernatural powers were believed to serve the Makers, a powerful race from the realm of Murdoch, with technology and knowledge far beyond that of any living creature. But in truth, the Makers used Sentinels as tools and weapons. Their leader, Khan Maker, ruled for 10,000 years. Every time a Khan Maker died, a new one was created by combining the essence of the Father with another being. However, that essence was stolen by the silent traitor Seraphim. Seraphim saw the corruption and lies in the system. He knew that there was only one way to prevent the disaster of creating a true destroyer. He found Doomslayer, bringing him to the divinity machine. Instead of using the machine to test the blood of a warrior as before, Seraphim changed its structure using the essence of the Father, the creature that created the entire universe, to implant into the Doomslayer's body. From there, a new being was born, beyond humanity, beyond gods, beyond demons, an entity with the power of God, the fury of hell, and an unbreakable will. The Doomslayer became invincible. Not only was he faster, stronger, and more durable than any creature in the multiverse, but he also possessed abilities that transcended physical limits. With his bare hands, he tore apart the Titan, the most powerful demon ever known in hell, an immortal creature unharmed by any weapon. Those who had faced it were crushed, but the Doomslayer destroyed it decisively without any combat tools. Khan Maker, who could teleport across entire universes in an instant, fled in fear when confronted by the Doomslayer. The Icon of Sin, who could create black holes just by its mere existence, was also summarily destroyed by him. No living thing could survive more than a few seconds in the face of his fury. He could slaughter every form of life in the entire multiverse with no effort. He was the end of all life, the embodiment of death personified. The Dark Lord, who claimed to be a threat to all creation, had absorbed the power of the defeated primevals. With the power of Argent energy, the energy that symbolized the will of the universe and God, he transformed himself into the embodiment of destruction. But the Doomslayer was no ordinary primeval. He was a storm that traveled through space and time, unhindered by physical barriers or cosmic laws. Finally, the Doomslayer faced the entire army of Hell. He needed no help, no alliances, only his gun, his sword, and the rage that burned his soul. Each demon was shot to pieces, cut in half, or crushed under his heel. Blood poured like rain. The scene was an eternal nightmare. He fought as if the wrath of the universe itself was manifesting. Facing the Dark Lord, the Doomslayer heard the shocking truth that Father was not the creator, as everyone thought. It was the Dark Lord who created the universe, the realms, humanity, and even the Doomslayer. When he was overthrown, his power stolen, the creations betrayed their own creator. He was angry, regretful, and desperate, but no matter how great his power, he could not defeat the Doomslayer. In the end, the Doomslayer delivered the final blow, destroying the Dark Lord forever. When he fell, all the creatures of Hell dissolved, turning to dust, ending the war that lasted millions of years. The question often asked is, why does an entity that can kill demons with their bare hands still need weapons? The answer is simple. This is a video game, and the player experience needs to be balanced. If the Doomslayer could finish off every enemy in one blow, the game would lose its fun. But at its core, the Doomslayer is the embodiment of unyielding will. A creature that has transcended death, transcended fate, and crushed all limits of life. According to analysis, the Doomslayer possesses speed that ranges from infinite to immeasurable. His power scale is considered to be multiversal, meaning he has the ability to affect the entire multiverse. A quote from the Doom log sums up that power perfectly. Power equals will. He is no longer a warrior. He is the ultimate punishment. An eternal nightmare for all that is evil. As the Dark Lord fell, and the creatures of Hell vanished as if they had never existed, the universe fell into a silence it had never known. No more screams echoed through the depths of Hell. No more hot blades slashed through flesh and bone. No more gunshots rang out in the chaos. All was silent. It was not peace, but a terrifying pause, as the universe bowed before an entity that had just killed the creator of all life. The Doomslayer did not celebrate, did not scream, did not declare victory. He only walked, each step heavy on the ashes of his fallen creator. With the Dark Lord destroyed, the dimensions he had once controlled began to shake. The fabric of the universe, once held in balance by argent energy and the will of the Father, was now fractured. Millions of portals opened chaotically between dimensions, like giant tears tearing through space-time. The Doomslayer, the one with the essence of the Father in his veins, became the new focal point of all the energy that was swirling deep into the center of the universe. From the Murdoch realm, the remaining makers looked down with trembling eyes. They had once been proud rulers of space with their godlike technology and ability to manipulate the laws of physics. But now, they no longer dared to speak, no longer dared to give orders. The Doomslayer's every step echoed through the planes of reality like a death knell. Some makers tried to approach him, hoping to negotiate or control him as they had done with the Sentinels. But all they ended up with was blood and broken bodies, shattered into pieces of metal and fiery crystals. The Doomslayer cannot be subdued. He cannot be controlled. He cannot be compromised. All ideologies, all theological ideals of forgiveness, redemption, and destiny are meaningless before him. In his world, there is only one truth: to destroy evil at all costs. And in his mind, nothing is more evil than the betrayal of the gods, of beings who call themselves creators, but manipulate the fates of living beings like puppets. As the dimensions are torn apart, a host of ancient beings from the primordial ages of the universe are awakened. Those who were sealed in the core of reality rise to the surface. Some are lost titans, others are forgotten monsters from the first light age. Beings who can tear planets apart with a glance, who can absorb light and create black holes from their chests. But even these creatures, when faced with the Doomslayer, were crushed in an unprecedented fury. There were battles that spanned endless dimensions, where time did not exist and space itself folded in on itself. The Doomslayer faced divine beings once worshipped by ancient civilizations, beings who had burned hundreds of star systems in their fury. Yet he stood firm. He not only defeated them, but absorbed every ounce of their power as if space and time itself were nurturing a new myth. Ancient energies, streams of will from the beginning of the universe, flowed around the Doomslayer like rivers of fire, surrounding him in a terrible aura. In a dimension torn apart by a 10,000-year-old war where the sun is covered by magical clouds and the ocean is frozen by the screech of demons, the Doomslayer encounters a being known as the Eye of the Void. A being that existed before time itself. A being that can see all futures and change them with a single thought. But before the Doomslayer, it could not predict death. Death came like a giant blade cutting through fate, ending all predictability. He was no longer a mere warrior. He had become an anomaly, a living paradox of the universe, where all laws must bow. As the Doomslayer's presence spread across the dimensions, intelligent species began to collapse spiritually. They no longer believed in gods, no longer believed in hope or reincarnation. In their minds, only one image remained: a man in green armor, a blade that gleamed with red sparks, a face devoid of emotion, and eyes that reflected nothing but fire and blood. On distant planets, children were taught that if you do not behave, the Doomslayer will come. He became a symbol of righteous death, a living legend, whispered in prayers that no gods could hear. However, absolute power does not come without a price. The remnants of the divinity machine and the essence of the Father had turned the Doomslayer into a center of chaotic energy. This being was now driven not only by will, but also by a cosmic current that no one else could control. His every move now affected the alignment of the stars. His every battle left an indelible mark on the fabric of space-time. One day, the universe will have to choose. Either let the Doomslayer continue to exist, or be completely shattered by his ever-increasing presence. The world he once belonged to, Earth, is now a faint memory, a torn photograph in the vortex of time. But the human spirit within him remains. His rage comes not only from the essence of the Father or the divinity machine, but from the pain of loss, from the memory of his wife, child, and little rabbit, torn apart by demons. He does not forget. No matter how great his power, the human nature within Doomslayer remains. That is what makes him more terrifying than anyone else. He does not kill for instinct. He kills for hatred, for memory, for an oath that will never be broken. To kill every demon in every universe, at any cost. As reality begins to shake, as dimensions collapse under the effects of his own creation, a grand question begins to arise. What if Doomslayer transcends the source and becomes the very foundation of existence? If he continues to destroy all evil, and all that remains is himself, will the universe have any meaning? That is not a question for philosophers or theologians. It is a question that dimensions ask themselves, faced with an entity that cannot be defeated, cannot be delayed, and cannot be fully understood. There are no enemies left worthy of challenging him. There are no battles worthy enough to make him roar. But the Doomslayer continues. Through the disintegrating portals, seeking out the remaining fragments of memory, pursuing the last remnants of hell. Even if he is a demon hiding in the cosmic dust, he will find it, destroy it, and crush it, as he has done to millions of others. The Doomslayer does not need a throne. He does not need a title. He does not want anyone to kneel. He only wants to keep his oath, and he will continue until there is nothing left that can be called evil. In the final moments of time, when the last light of the universe fades, when the echoes of the galaxies are but distant echoes in dead space, there stands a figure walking amidst the ashes. A warrior in green armor, wielding a flaming sword, eyes burning like a supernova, and a will as eternal as the universe itself that created him. He is the end. He is the Doomslayer.